Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Newsgram. Some stories take shape over time. They unfold bit by bit. Others, they hit like a thunderclap, and they force you to change everything in a flash of an instant. The pandemic lockdown gave rise to a lot of those stories. People reevaluating their lives, making big moves, and in some cases, quite literally running for survival.
Really, I'd managed to escape a very dangerous narcissist first day of lockdown.
That is Jocelyn Merula, and as you can see, she has one of those stories.
Yes, it was, it was awful.
On the very first day of lockdown, she escaped from what she calls a dangerous narcissist with 7 horses, 3 dogs, and a cat in tow.
I had to leave other horses, I had to leave other animals, I had to leave 2 other dogs, which tore me to shreds. It was awful, but I had to get out. It was serious. I mean, he did end up in prison. It was serious. So I had to get out.
A tough decision to make and not an easy getaway. Here's what happened when she thought she was in the clear.
As I was driving along, as I say, it was the first day of lockdown. I was on the motorway. I was about 45 minutes from the house. And the only other car on the motorway, the guy was tooting, gesticulating, pointing, and I thought, I better pull over because I'm the only other vehicle on the motorway, so it must be me. And luckily I pulled over, turned off the ignition, and he'd seen flames. The fuel pipe had been partially cut over the battery, and the whole lot of us could have gone up in flames, but we didn't. We're here, and lived to tell the tale.
And that could have been the end of her story. Instead, it was the start of something new. Out of all of this, Jocelyn found her voice. She took her experiences, her work with animals and people, which we will delve into deeper in just a minute, and she turned all of them into a new book called Enlightenment in Rhyme: Essential Tools for Navigating Life's Challenges.
I suppose, essentially, I've been trying to write for 30 years, and this eventually materialized in 30 days. It just took over me completely.
Yeah, her biggest challenge became her biggest joy. For years, she wanted to write, but something always got in the way. All she had to do was clear her mind, make a conscious decision to thrive, and start moving forward with her life. And the words then, they just spilled out of her head and onto the page.
It was a pure catharsis. It was just emptying what had been me, ready to be able to fill up what is going to be me. And it just was an unbelievable thing to do and just get out. And yeah, that was just such an amazing feeling to get that done. And I moved 3 times in 2020 and broke my leg, and it was becoming farcical. I don't know whether any of your listeners know about Monty Python, but it was becoming a Monty Python sketch. It was just becoming ridiculous.
Sometimes life can be so crazy that you just have to laugh at its ridiculousness. It's kind of my mantra. She says you have to find the humor if you can. You can't bury your head in the sand and just give up, no matter how much you might want to. Life goes on. So embrace the tragedy. Do what you can to find the humor and work on changing what you can when you can.
Whatever happens to you is and can be positive. You can choose to be the victim, but where does that get you? Really, where does that get you? So it's knowing that whatever happens to you, your universe works for you because it's your universe. It's just a reflection of what's happening inside your head. Your universe will work for you as long as you choose to see things as a gift and something to learn from.
Choose to see life as the gift that it is. What a great quote. I should point out, Jocelyn Merula is her pen name. Her real name is Dr. Belinda Murphy, and when she's not writing, she's working with horses.
What my job has been and is now is to improve their immune system through the many healing modalities I use, such as cranial osteopathy, intentional homeopathy, light body and integration, you name it. I've researched everything for the last 30 years and continue to do so. And I add all that together with my scientific knowledge from my biochemistry toxicology degree. So everything comes from every angle, and I do whatever it takes to improve the immune system. So I also use my horses. I've got 4.5, and an 11.2 pony that's very naughty. And I use them to work with people, basically removing their emotional baggage and helping them to see a way through their troubles and anxiety and challenges that they're facing. And the horses just cut through all the BS, belief systems, that is.
Exactly. Horses have a way of cutting through the mental clutter in ways that we humans just can't. They respond to energy, not words, which makes them powerful partners in emotional healing. Jocelyn has spent years blending scientific and holistic healing, and she's discovered that some of the best breakthroughs happen when people stop thinking and start feeling. That's where the horses come in, helping people drop their defenses, face their emotions, and move through challenges in a way that feels natural or even inevitable.
You put someone on a horse, they're immediately out of their comfort zone, so they can't block what I can then do as I walk around with them on the horse. Because from the 80s, when I first started off doing reflexology, people have become so much more sophisticated. I mean, people thought I was completely mad in the early 80s when I was doing reflexology. But now, everybody knows about that, and everybody knows about osteopathy and whatever. So people have become a lot more sophisticated in being able to block the therapist, because a lot of people have a vested interest in remaining ill. That's why I always had to work with the animals as well, because animals always want to be in complete health.
Another great quote: some people have a vested interest in remaining ill. Sometimes we hold on to illness because in some strange way it's serving us. And this goes back to her story about the narcissist. She was reminded that her life needed to be different, so she changed it. It wasn't easy. You heard her talk about living in a Monty Python sketch, but she made it through, and she created a resource for others. It's called Enlightenment in Rhyme, and it's an anthology of poems highlighting the events in her life that shaped her personality. A roadmap, if you will, laced with humor and designed to pave the successful navigation of trauma. It may be just what the doctor ordered: a bit of wisdom, some humor, and some hard-earned lessons about transformation and breaking free from the things that hold us back. And since I brought up the doctor, another key takeaway here is this: our health is our greatest asset. I'm not a medical professional, but in my opinion, nothing manifests physically unless you repress those difficult-to-handle emotions. And then stuff can happen.
There are many, many books in my head, and as everybody kept saying, you've got to get the first one out the pipe, and the rest will follow.
Now that you mention it, that does lead me to her second book, Successfully Managing the Hypersensitive Horse. You'll find links to both books in the description. Enlightenment in Rhyme, well, it offers insights on breaking free from limiting beliefs.
It's a compilation of things that have happened to me, how I've dealt with it, and as you can imagine, all a bit tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, and Successfully Managing the Hypersensitive Horse helps equestrians do the same thing for their four-legged partners. Thanks for listening to this edition of Newsgram from webtalkradio.com.